What is up, and welcome to something a little bit different here. We're just gonna talk sports. We're talking sports. I just have some things that I want to go through, and we're gonna cover like one topic in a video every once in a while. Not a regular thing, but every once in a while there's some things that come up that I would like to address. And today we're gonna be talking a little bit of basketball. So recently, ESPN tweeted out this graphic and kind of opened up a whole can of worms. They asked, quite simply, choose one big three to run within the playoffs. And my opinion, and it is only my opinion, you're very, very welcome to disagree with this, but the only correct answer is A, the Chicago Bulls. Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman, that even though they weren't really considered a big three, there's none better. That is the best team of all time. And honestly, out of all of these four options, they're the most balanced. They have the offense. MJ, of course, greatest player of all time. Scotty can fill it up. He's a bucket. And defensively, MJ's all-world defense. Scotty's a great defender. And Rodman is one of the best rebounders, if not the best rebounder of all time. That is the most balanced and most dominant out of all of these options. And I don't even think it's really even that close. If you want to go to maybe the second option, I think that's a little bit closer. It's either the Warriors or the Heat. And as much as I love the Miami Heat, and I'm a massive Dwayne Wade fan, I would have to go Warriors here. I just think outside of that three with the Bulls, no other team made you feel like, what's even the point of showing up to the arena? That Warriors team with Steph and Clay and KD was really, really that good. And I just think, on balance-wise, the Bulls still have them. I think they have them comfortably. But that Warriors team was legitimately terrifying. Legitimately terrifying. The Heat, while they were good in the regular season, and they went off on a run of 30-plus straight wins at one point during their 4-year run, they had some issues in the playoffs. They really struggled sometimes against some teams. The Celtics pushed them to the limit pretty consistently in the Eastern Conference. The Bulls looked like they had their number early on. The Pacers were a struggle for them at one point. No one really did that to the Warriors in the West. The Warriors ran the West, and it wasn't close. So I would go with the Warriors at number 2. The Heat, probably a pretty close third. And then we have the Nets in here as well, which I had me scratching my head because I don't think they really belong in this conversation. And I also find it hilarious that they couldn't find a picture of KD, Harden, and Kyrie all in the same picture at the same time. Probably because they only played like 6 games together in the regular season. But that's one of the reasons they don't belong in this conversation. All of those other trios, they're champions. They have rings. They have trophies. They have MVPs. I mean, yes, the Nets have MVPs, but they did not win their MVPs with the Nets. So I don't think the Nets belong in this conversation yet. They might get there this season. They might win a championship this season. I think if healthy, the Nets probably get out of the East. The Sixers are going to be an issue. Doc Rivers has that Philly team playing incredibly well. But if healthy, I think the Nets are a problem for anybody. But they don't really belong in this conversation. They don't have the prerequisite, which is that title together. They haven't won anything together, so they can't really be considered for this. The other thing that was interesting, and a trio that's not in this graphic, is San Antonio. Their big three of Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and Tim Duncan. And even the mayor of San Antonio was upset by that one, that they weren't even in this graphic. And honestly, I don't think that they... I don't want to say they don't belong. They have the prerequisite. They won championships, multiple championships. I think the issue there is they weren't really a big three. Outside of Tim Duncan, who is GOATed, he is the best power forward, arguably the best power forward ever. It's indisputable how good Tim Duncan was. Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, if you look at these other players in these big threes, I think you take any and every player over either one of them. I just don't think that they're big enough to be considered a big three alongside Tim Duncan. And that's really more of the Spurs philosophy and the way that Popovich coached and the culture in the Spurs club is it's just that they didn't really go with superstars. They didn't build their team around superstars. Yes, Tim Duncan was a superstar, but he didn't act like a superstar. He wasn't front and center on the face of the franchise. Look at me, look at me, look at me. That whole team is built around role players and players that I don't want to make a meme of it, but they knew the assignment. They did it, and they did it very well. And to a certain extent, Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili were role players. I don't want to downplay what they did. They were very good at their roles. Very, very good. Tony Parker, multiple-time All-Star. Manu Ginobili, one of the best forward players ever to play in the NBA. But they weren't megastars. I think you could say maybe Dennis Rodman wasn't a megastar, but if he's in the conversation as one of the best at what he did, I don't think you can put Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili in that same conversation. They didn't do that. They weren't the very best at what they did. Rodman's one of the best rebounders of all time. Tony Parker's a very good point guard. Manu Ginobili was a very good slashing winger. They weren't the best at what they did, so I don't think it's fair to put that Spurs team into this conversation. They're a dynasty, no doubt. They're great, and again, as I am a Miami Heat fan, I hate the Spurs, but you got to respect what they did. They were a great team, and again, it's just the philosophy of how the Spurs roll. The closest thing they've really ever had to a megastar was Kawhi, and he didn't even really fit in there, and that's why he ended up wanting out. And even Kawhi I think Kawhi kind of fits that whole Spurs philosophy of kind of mellow, more subtle superstar. He's not a leader. I think he probably should have stayed in San Antonio, but whatever, that's beside the point. I think they could have had a big three with Kawhi and some other people, but I don't think that doesn't matter. The Spurs don't belong in this conversation. But that is it. That's kind of all I got for this one. Let me know what your thoughts are. Which of these big three would you run with in the playoffs? If your answer is an A, you're absolutely wrong. But feel free to tell me why it is an A, and then I can tell you still why you're wrong. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.